Trust me, I know. Fuck me. All right. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to this edition of the Halcyon Show. How you doing? Today, we welcome a man whose career has taken a number of unexpected turns, both good and bad, given he's experienced meteoric success as a battler and a rapper, personal heartbreak, enjoyed and endured the best and worst that everything that battle rap has to offer. And that's before you learn he's a Liverpool fan. But through it all, he's found new ways to continue to rise and grow, not only as a performer, but as an artist, a businessman, an activist, a role model, but not only all of those things, a pillar of the battle rap scene. He is the head of development for PremierBattles, widely heralded as one of the shining lights in the resurgence of the UK battle rap scene in the last few years. Former grime artist, current battle rapper, we'll find out, and perhaps most impressively, the founder of the Aleisha Whamond Foundation. He's seen a lot of shit in his life, but tonight we'll hear from the man who's only just hitting his prime. Bloodstro joins us. Bloodstro, my friend, how are you?
What's good? I'm good, you? Yeah, that is phenomenal. That was phenomenal.
I always get nervous reading the intros. I always get nervous because it really hits home to me the scale of the career of the person I'm talking to, and you are no exception. Because in recent times, I find out about your good work after the fact rather than before the fact, because there's not really anyone I talk to that doesn't speak to you in glowing terms. So that's where I want to start, if that's okay, which is your career in how it's developed and at where you are today. Could you have seen that 10 years ago when you first started in this gig? Could you see yourself in the position as an authority figure, as a guiding light, as a person that's not only got his mind in his own career, but on a multitude of different people's careers to try and cultivate what's best for a number of different people? Could you have seen that?
I mean, the easy answer is no, because I first started going to events 2008, 2009. Obviously I then got into battling in 2011. That was my first ever battle. So me and Fame for Lab, which was obviously Shotty and Briggs' league. Then a month later I had Luna to the test, which is obviously the one which just catapulted everything and just changed mine and his life in the UK scene, the battle rap scene forever. But no, because I wasn't the most loved in terms of battling when I was battling at the time. And to see what's happened since in the rise of Prem and everything that's happened over the past 5 years, I don't think anyone would have seen it, to be honest. And to be honest with you, when Briggs and Shotty announced that I was coming on board, it was met with a few, like, what, really? Him? Like, people didn't really fully understand the dynamic or how it would work and what would happen. And then you look at it now and it's just like, yeah, it's been a roller coaster, put it that way.
Talk to me about it though, because one of the things that I, in another interview with a, I think it was Bison Briggz, I think his name was. He was mentioning how it was kind of an interesting series of events that led to you running your first event, and he asked you after the fact, like, what was it like for you? And you mentioned one of the things that you noticed was that during an event, normally you a little bit nervous, a bit skittish, a bit anticipation of the event, all the rest of it. When you were running it, cold as ice. Couldn't have been calmer. Couldn't have been more in control of your faculties. Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think something that arguably should bring more pressure, should bring more anticipation and more expectancy out of you in that situation, not only do you step up to the plate, but hang on, man, you do that really well. You should be doing this. Like, number one, how did that happen? And number two, did you think that was going to happen? Did you have an inkling that was going to happen?
Nah, to be honest with you, it was just bizarre, the whole. But the thing is, right, number one is when you surround yourself with serial winners and people that just think differently and people that give you a different perspective, and you see them, they inspire you in terms of the hard work, the graft, just everything they put into it, like the smallest details matter to them. That's Briggs and Shotty. Like, that's always been them two from minute one. Now, I've always had great relationships with both of them, and we've always been very, very close, even throughout my time as battling and stuff like that, because we all knew each other. We all knew people that knew each other, and it's from that we formed friendships for life. And this was before I came on board. And then you watch them, and how they just change something small, and you're thinking, why are they doing that? And then you realise an hour later, when you see it have an impact on the event, you're like, oh, that's why they're as successful as they are, because the little things matter to them. So before I started running Undisclosed and I started running my own events, I had all the match days, and I was watching Briggz, I was watching Shotty, I was watching the little details. I was watching them, how they would operate, how they would move, how they would speak to the artists, the battlers, how they would set things up, how they would move the cameramen to how they wanted them, how they wanted the camera to look so specific, how they wanted the crowd to look if it was a pit, how they wanted the crowd to look if it was a stage. And the geniuses, and you look at the UK scene to where it is now, it wouldn't be where it is without them two. Let's be honest, because it all fell apart. Them two took it personal and thought, I'm going to get it back to where it is. So when I was going into my first event and I found out Shotty's got a music video, most of the lads are going to be there, and unfortunately it clashed with Undisclosed, and I was left literally by myself to just run the event. So going into it that morning, I'm nervous, because a lot of people were questioning in terms of should I be in the position that was in. This was very, very early on. And I've always had this, not so much chip on my shoulder, but I've always felt like I've had to prove a point, and I've had to go above and beyond giving, because everyone just sees Bloodstro as the battle rapper they seen in 2011 that battled Luna, the 18, 19-year-old kid who didn't really understand UK battle rap, didn't understand the writing process and how you market yourself as a battler. So I've always felt like I've had to kind of prove myself a lot more. So going into that event, I was a bit nervous, but then it was, I just stuck to what I knew from watching them two. And it was right, okay, let's make sure the event runs smoothly. Let's make sure the music's working whenever the battles are, and make sure that if we've got judges, the judges' decisions, let's just make sure, number one, we're organised. As long as the event's organised, I can learn from any mistakes that I make. And to be honest with you, it was such a weird thing, because we ended up getting the battles done quite like at a good time. Fans were like, oh, Jesus, this is the first time the battle events ever, or one of the first times the battle events ever ran so smooth where it's finished early. So then what happened then was, it was like, oh. And then there was just that level of expectation. But I think it was when I was speaking to certain battlers and I was saying, look, I've been in your shoes, especially newcomers, like, I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to go through what you're going through now. I think that gave them a different perspective. So, yeah, no, I don't think I could have seen it turning out the way it did, to be honest.
Would you say it's your adaptability? I mean, you've alluded to it there, the fact that you were not a veteran by any stretch of the imagination when you got into the thing that would ultimately make your name. You weren't necessarily experienced, albeit to a certain, through osmosis when you took on this role. Like, that's saying something in of itself, the fact that you've got, and like you say, you're acutely aware that in both of these scenarios, people are only looking for excuses to hold you accountable or point the finger and say, see, look, you fucked up. And yet you step into it anyway. Like, is it adaptability something that you're aware of as a strong point, or is that just something there are just certain things you've taken to, like I say, becoming a battler, but then also becoming a figurehead for PremierBattles?
I think adaptability, definitely, especially when you go through what I've been through in my life. I've had to adapt quickly in some horrific circumstances. So, with the greatest of respect to the scene, battle rappers coming to an event and battling each other is probably one of the easiest things to do when you tally it up and you put it on a list, considering half the stuff I've had to go through in my life.
I can totally understand that, man.
I've had to adapt, so it's the easiest thing. Like, when you look at it from that, like, running a battle event shouldn't be that difficult. It is, because there's so many different moving parts, and it can get complex, and there's issues. Battlers are battlers, artists are artists. Like, it's always going to happen. But the adaptability as well is one thing which I learned so well from Briggz was, and I say this on every interview I do, people don't realise the amount of stuff we've had to overcome at events, and he's the calmest person, because everything that could get thrown at him, he's had it thrown at him, and he knows how to overcome it. So I've just took that approach in terms of, I've had life thrown everything at me. I could easily overcome whatever's going to get thrown up to me at the event. So I think adaptability is definitely a strong suit for me. Whether I would think of it like that, probably not. But when you actually take a step back and go, actually, adaptability is definitely something which, unfortunately, life's thrown situations at me, and I've had to adapt them pretty quick. So I've kind of made it a strong suit for me.
100%, and we'll probably touch on that. Well, not probably, because there's a couple of things I really want to hone in on that. But I want to stay on the transition from battler to the figurehead you've become, because one of the things I also it tickled me because I understood what you meant, and I know it's kind of a wry dig. But when Briggsy asked you something along the lines of, "So did the battlers all turn up on time?" and you said something to the effect of, "Well, you know, battlers, mate." What was funny to me was that you speak from two different sides of that coin. You're now speaking from an understanding point because you were once in that position, but you're also speaking from that intolerance point of, look, I get it, guys, I really do, but is there any chance you could be on? Is there any? Come on, man, I've got an event to think about. So talk to me about that switching of mindsets between the two. Like when you were a rapper and an artist and a battler, what sorts of things innately did you have to accentuate about yourself in order to be successful that you now have to dampen a little bit? Is it your aggressiveness? Is it your mentality towards what's best for you versus what's best for the event? Like, what different frame of mind, or does it just, again, is it a natural thing? Do you have to step into this, or is it something you just naturally bring whenever you go into work?
I mean, I think one of the reasons why I've not so much been accepted, but people go, actually, right, okay, especially now they go, I understand why Stro's where he is. I understand why that decision was made. And like I said, that was a journey which I had to go on myself, and I knew I'd have to go on that journey and I have to prove a lot of people wrong with us. I've kind of made a point and made an effort of going, look, there's two different versions of Stro. The one you seen in 2011, which was dressed like he was about to go burgle a house, madly aggressive, like young, immature, didn't understand, and I've already said, didn't understand UK battle rap, didn't understand the writing, the complexities. I was just a fan and I just wanted to throw myself in at the deep end, and that was never me. Whereas through this journey, people have got to see the actual proper Stro, the authentic, the one where I'm willing to come and give you advice, and you can speak to many different people in the UK in terms of battlers, especially ones that are coming up who I'm booking from Undisclosed. I'm always giving them tips and advice in terms of, look, don't oversaturate yourself. If you're going to book a battle, make sure the battle makes sense for you going forward. Have a plan in mind in terms of, right, okay, where do I want to be this time next year? Don't move away from the plan, because there's so many leagues now, and I don't want people to get themselves in a position where they've got a hot streak, but then because they're constantly getting booked at every single card, fans don't want to see them anymore, because that goes against what I want the UK to be. I'm not just talking from a Prem point of view, I'm just talking from a UK battle rap point of view, in terms of, we've seen it so many times where you've got a fan favourite, but people get bored very quickly. It's like,
yeah, it's just general good advice for a performer, isn't it? You can't expect to be missed if you're around all the time, and you certainly can't produce anything new if you're constantly talking about the insular nature of your experience. You've got to bring something new to the table. You've got to go away for a minute, and you obviously can't run the risk of spaffing it up the wall for one thing when the execution is just as important as the timing. So, yeah, that's just good advice, man. That's not, anything that's necessarily unique to battle rap.
No, and the thing is as well is, I think people have got to see the actual proper side of me, the loving side, the caring side, the one that's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure the event's great. Like, I take it personal in terms of Undisclosed 5's the perfect example. It was a silly event, it was a fun event, there was some really, really, really good battles on there. But I wanted fans to leave going, this has been one of the funnest events I've been to in a long time. And it's the same mindset I'm going into with Undisclosed 10. The card is absolutely stats, but I took what happened at Undisclosed 9 personal. So I want Undisclosed 10 to be one of the best events that they've gone to this year. And it's going to be difficult because you've got the plug, and that's just an absolute monster and mega card. But when you look at UK Battle Rap and you look at the people that are on this card, you've got Osh, Goat, Funny, Legend, Comedy, Harry Baker, Legend, Comedy, Shuffle, like Marlowe, you've got Quilkenby.
Man, that poster just looks like a freaking Mount Rushmore, man. That's what it looks like. It looks like, wow, he's on it. Wow, Jesus fucking... Like, it's great. It's fantastic as a card. It really is.
So I just want fans to, especially with the Undisclosed series, I just want them to be fun. Like, I want people to look at why has that battle happened, and then you go, oh right, okay, now it makes sense why he's put that battle, because this is actually hilarious. So yeah, I think the thing with me was people got to see the real side of me, and people got to understand me. Obviously, there was a situation which helped where I had to show my humanly side with my sister, and people really got to understand me and what I actually stood for and what I meant for, because it's so easy to judge someone from behind the screen when you're just watching them on a film and you're watching. I think that's the reason, and me and Briggs have spoke about this, and I'm not even exaggerating, it must be 1,000 times. Me and Luna was the perfect storm in terms of two different styles, two different ways to approach the battle. One who you can clearly know understood battling, the writing, the multis, just the persona, how he sold himself, and then me who was just young, raw, didn't fully understand it, didn't fully grasp it. And because of the aggressiveness and he's so calm, that's one of the reasons why it just catapulted the way that it did. Because if I was to watch that back now and take myself out of the situation, I'd watch that clip about 5-6 times, because it's hilarious to watch. Is this guy who's getting mad over aggressive just gets absolutely schooled, and effectively that is what happened. And then you can understand why. Bear in mind, at them times, 30,000 views was absolutely crazy. So that was, I'm not even exaggerating, on my Facebook memories, I've got posts where it's like, if we get this battle to 30,000, I'll be happy. It's now 1 million plus, and it's like, Jesus, didn't expect that. But that's the reason why it was the perfect storm. So if you judge me from that, I can understand the reactions I got. But whereas when people actually get to know me, the amount of times I've spoke to fans at events and like, oh, I never thought you'd be this nice. That tells me everything I need to know about the mindset of certain fans in the UK, and certain battlers will have that mindset as well, because there's certain battlers in the UK scene now which openly say one of the first battles they ever watched was me and Luna, and they're surprised that I'm the way that I am. So I kind of enjoy it at this point. It just makes me laugh, because I'm like, yep, another person to prove wrong, another person that I've just kind of got rid of this idea in the head that Stroh's just this mad over aggressive angry guy. It's like, I'm not.
I want to put something to you. Seeing as we're at this stage of the conversation, I was going to ask about this, but in a different context, and I want to ask about this, and I'm going to put something to you, and I want to be clear, motherfuckers. I'm not being contrarian. I'm just sick of narrative-driven bullshit. You mentioned something there that kind of touches on the point that I want to make. You mentioned something along the lines of that you were inexperienced, you were raw, but the scene was raw, and the exposure it was getting was new and unprecedented. And I've watched that battle back, and yeah, it's not what I would call an exhibition of back and forth. It's not one of those things. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out why, and I can't get it. And the only thing I can think of is that a narrative took hold. And narratives are dangerous things, dangerous and often bollocks. Now, the reason I bring this up is because you've mentioned it in interviews, and I'm asking the question. When it comes to that fandom, now that you're having to contend with it in order to maximize the appeal of each card, you're now trying to work with the fandom as best you can to understand and to motivate them and to obviously excite them and enthrall them enough that they not only buy a ticket, that they go home and tell their fucking friends, right, you need to come to this motherfucking PremierBattles event that's up next week, man. How has your relationship evolved with the fandom since those days when you were, like you say, a young man, trying to establish yourself, trying to make your name, trying to make some noise, trying to get some attention, to now having gone through the highs and the lows, and now you're trying to utilize that experience and apply it in different ways? How has that relationship with the fandom changed? Do you look at them differently? Do you understand the dynamic differently? Do you apply your experience differently to how you would have done when you were younger? How do you feel about that?
That's a great question. I definitely, for the first probably couple months, definitely had a chip on my shoulder. And I was always kind of side-eyeing certain fans, thinking, because when you look at the comments, especially though, with the bottom, it's dangerous to always look at YouTube comments, right? But at that time,
it's fucking lethal, brother. You're 100% fucking lethal sometimes, yeah. The spelling errors alone are fucking travesties.
So then obviously I'm looking at that, and then I'm thinking about scenarios and certain things and memories that I've got for them years afterwards when me and Luna drops and just going to Don't Flop events and having conversations with certain fans, and a lot of people giving me the cold shoulder because like they didn't like me based off the Luna battle. So for the first couple months I literally, especially in Prem, and Briggz knows this, had this kind of chip on my shoulder, and he was just like, it's like, why'd you care? And I was just, so me being me, I was just like, look, this is the reason why I care. And he was like, yeah, but why? He was like, they're judging you off this. They've not seen you. And this is where Briggz is a genius, right? Whereas then he starts doing the random Facebook lives, and we start talking about cards, and we start talking about events. And without realizing it, he's showing the world and the fans and the battlers a version of me they've never seen. What Briggz has, because we're good mates. So we just start fucking about, we start messing about, we start having a laugh. The way that we end some of the streams is he'll just put the camera on me and won't tell me. And then I'll realise like 5 seconds later, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you being like? But then they're laughing, and then before you know it is, they want to see the streams again because they want to see what kind of stupid stuff that we're doing, like the amount of leaks that we do on these Facebook lives and loads of other stuff. People are like, oh my god, Stroll's actually hilarious, because they've seen a side to me which they never would have seen before. But this is why Briggz is a genius, was because he knew that in order to put me in the position that he was going to put me in, I needed to have not so much like an image change, but people needed to see a side of me they haven't seen before. Because certain events, they turn up, do I look stressed? Yeah, because I want to make sure everything's perfect. I'm a perfectionist and I'm very competitive. I want to make sure that I do better than the last event. So most of the time when people turn up is I'm focused. Whereas when I'm not doing events and I'm planning them and stuff like he wants me to have fun, but he wanted the fan to see that, because that straight away there changed the fan perception instantly. When you see me on the lives with Shotty, with Briggz, and we're just being stupid and we're just being ourselves like we are in the group chat, everyone was like, all right, okay, this is a side of Stroke we've never seen before. So that's him, to be honest. And it was difficult at first because I won't say I so much held a grudge, but I don't forget. And it was hard to forget, especially with some of the stuff that I went through for that 2-3 year period afterwards.
But the thing is, man, the reason I bring it up, and Briggsy made a comparison. I understand why he made it, but I disagree with it. He made the comparison of it being Connor and Jose Aldo, which I understand, but I'm not so convinced. I see a Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren in that you didn't see the best of Askren, and Askren had all the fucking promise and all the fucking potential in the world. And the fact is, he put himself in scenarios to maximize his impact on purpose, but knowing that there was a downside and a big fall, right? Aldo wasn't. Aldo was going after something and just like a pit bull, and he got caught with a lucky shot. Masvidal was on a different level, but again hadn't had quite that prep, but he was a polished tool that no one really knew about yet. And so you've got this weird clash of personalities in a moment where one reaps all of the benefits and the other reaps almost none, when the motives of both of them, when you actually look at it in context, you go, actually, Askren deserved a lot of motherfucking respect to step in that situation. And you're exactly the same. And the reason I say that the narrative thing is a dangerous thing, because you've alluded to it, and I can, again, watching the battle back, I've got no fucking earthly idea how that narrative had any fuel to it, except for one thing. It just became popular. But if you question it, it's like, right, what in particular about that battle leads you to that opinion? You get a lot of people going, oh, because everyone's saying it. Like, fucking hell. But this is what I'm trying to say, man. This is the fandom. This is what you deal with. And now it's an interesting one, because even though, like you say, you would have had that period where there's this annoying part of the fandom where they just won't let something fucking go. You now have that at your disposal. You now have a fandom that you can, well, if I put this guy in this right position and he executes it the way I think he can on a card like this and a stage like this with people around, I could do something with this guy. So what I wanted to try and drill down is, has that experience been enlightening for you in a way that other battlers won't understand, because they just don't understand the feral nature, the rabid nature of some fandoms like battle rap, which is niche, obviously, but man, there's so many out of the woodwork battle fans. And when I tell them, like, I'm going to talk to Bloodstro, there will be millions of people that just go, oh, wow, really? I'm like, you're a battle rap fan? Yeah. Fucking kept that quiet, though, didn't you? So, I guess what I'm saying is, how has that been? How has that dynamic been for you now that you're able to utilize it? You're able to harness it? Is that an experience that you can apply that you think others can't?
To an extent, yeah. Just purely based on the fact of how popular that became. So I can see it from both sides. Like, it sounds mad that I'm in this realm, but when you look at million view battles in the UK, there's not that many. Shotty's up there, understandably so, because he's a rock star. He's just a mega star. You've got Luna's in there. You've got, I don't think Yunan's in there yet, which is wild saying it. Tony. I hope I'm wrong. Him and Shotty should be at 1 million views by this point. If it's not, that's absolutely crazy, because what an incredible battle that is. But you get my point, is you're kind of starting to understand that getting them kind of views in the UK battle rap is difficult. The fact that I'm somehow in that list is mind-blowing to me, because you've got Bobby Rex, 100% deserves 1 million views. The guy is an absolute rock star. Bizzo, 100%. Koj, I can go on and on and on. Briggz, like, these people deserve to have these kind of views on the battles, but yet little old me somehow got one from 2011, because I bet it might, it was a tryout as well. There's never, and there never will be, a tryout in the UK that will have 1 million views ever. This is what I'm saying, Mike. It was just the perfect storm, and I don't think something like that will ever be replicated again. But it gives me a different perspective in terms of when I'm watching certain battlers now coming in, and they've got this idea in their head. It's like, right, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get an international by this point. What they don't understand is when it's high, but when it dips and it's low and the fans get on top of you, a lot of them don't understand how to take it. And I think this is why me being in a position that I'm in, especially with Undisclosed cards, is I've kind of helped in a certain way, because you'll notice that I've purposely put certain people in certain positions for a reason. Grazza's the perfect example, right? Not many fans knew Grazza, not many fans liked Grazza in terms of him as a battler. But over the past 12 months, he went through the academy, he's been on Undisclosed a lot. You see a different side of Grazza. Now the fans love him, because you're seeing a side to him that they haven't seen before. Slester was so misunderstood when he first started battling, when he was in the academy. People didn't really understand his style, didn't understand what he was doing, the dramatic pauses, the reason why he was doing it. Then he started battling Undisclosed, and slowly, step by step, he started to get more tougher battles. He got Matter in Glasgow, in his home country. Apex absolutely killed it against Frost, and the people are like, oh, I now understand Celeste, but it's that when you start dipping in terms of fan perspective, is I can come in with a different understanding, a different perspective, which not many people can, because the hate, and this, you've seen the interviews, the stuff I went through for those 2-3 year period was crazy. So I can give them a different understanding in terms of, look, it might be rough for a bit. This is how you overcome it. This is how you change the fan perspective. This is what you need to do. You need to start thinking about this, understand it from this point of view, and they go, all right, okay, now it makes sense. So it definitely gives me a tool in my arsenal to... It hits different when you're getting given advice from someone, but that someone's walked in your shoes. It hits different, and I think that's the perfect way I could put it in terms of it definitely gives me a different perspective.
But talking in wrestling terms, and you'll forgive me for a second, I know that Mr. Horror is a fan of professional wrestling, and I use this loosely in case people tune out at this point. Most people would have turned heel in that situation. Do you know what? Fuck you, fuck all you fans, fuck all this, fuck that, and nowhere have I seen you really express an iota of steering into this sort of heelish persona, fuck, I don't care what anything. You've still unrelentingly been a nice, good, decent, upstanding, hard-working, you know, white meat baby face, as it were. You've just not really allowed it to shift your perspective on where you want to go and what you want to do. And nothing typifies that more by the fact that you're now back in Premier Battles. And you've had your return. I watched the Danny Jack battle today as prep for this. And by the way, but people motherfucking sleeping on that motherfucking first round. That was hilarious. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Anyways, point being that, like, you're still you. Like, I don't see you now as a complete departure from that young man that you were. You just look wiser, more composed, a little bit more deliberate, and a little bit more amiable to the circumstances and the wishy-washy nature of it. And the fact that Danny Jack took the last round to be nice to you, and you're like, that's nice. Right, here's my fucking third. That was just, okay, cool. He's still delivering it. He's still hitting. That's great. So I guess what I want to ask is, where does your fortitude come from? Have you always had that? Have you always had a very strong sense of your character and who you were as a person that could see you through those times? Or was it forged? Because like you've, you know, as I'm sure we'll talk about, you've gone through some stuff that's made you really assess and analyze shit. Like, how the fuck do I want to deal with this? Like, I'm going to have to deal with it no matter what. How the fuck do I want to deal with this so it turns out as best I can make it turn out?
It definitely forged. 100% is one product of my environment. Is probably the best way I can put it. Is I came from a household which mum was disabled from 2 or 3 years old, didn't have a job. My dad then had to look after her full time as a carer, so he didn't have a job. Not really much money in terms of the family. Then you've got 4 kids, 2 older sisters, myself, and obviously my younger sister. And younger sister obviously going through the struggles and everything that life was throwing at her. And it's going, and obviously everyone knows this when guys are getting older and obviously they're going through the teenage years, there's always that kind of aggressive stage. And there was a point in life where I was just angry at life for so many different things. This is before what happened. It was because I felt like I never got given the opportunity, and I'd look at people in my circle and I'd see, right, okay, well, they're going this place for the holiday, they're doing this, they're doing that, and I never had that. And you can kind of tell in the Lunar battle that aggressiveness was coming from a place which was quite real in terms of me, and I was just frustrated with life. And I thought, kind of, it's weird because battle rap was kind of like my way out in terms of people who I was surrounding myself with were getting themselves in a lot of trouble, and I had a number of different paths I could have gone down in terms of life. A lot of them are in prison and some of them are dead, and there's so many different things which I'm kind of glad that never happened. But products of my environment is definitely one of them, but 100% forged, because like I said, I'm at a point now in my life where I'm wise in my years, and I don't mean that I'm smarter than everyone else in terms of I've got life experience which not many people have got. So for example, I'm a manager, so when I manage my team and they're coming to me with many different things, I can speak to them on a level where I understand what you're going through. I've been there, and it helps massively. So 100% it was forced, because I don't think I'd be the person I am now, because there's nothing life can throw at me that I've not seen before. I'm 30 years old and I've been to 29 funerals. That tells you everything you need to know.
I mean that's fucking horrific. And one of the things that comes out to me in that response there is the fact that in that battle, it's the famous, ended up becoming your slogan, man. But then it was taken and it was used against you for a period of time. These days, people would want to know why you said it the way you said it and why you were so vitriolic in it. And it would take on a different cadence. But back in the day, again, this is what I'm saying, man. The scene was a baby in the sense that people just took shit on face value. It was, how good is the obviousness of the joke, rather than, hey man, he said that in a different way to the rest of his bars. I wonder if that means something different. And then people going back and saying, holy shit, that guy's actually speaking from the fucking heart when he says this shit. He's qualified to say this shit. He's not saying it because he's trying to elicit a response. He'd say that the same fucking way if none of you fuckers were in this room. So it's crazy that, like I say, you've had to find your way through that period of time. You've adapted, and then you've reapplied yourself in this era now. And I mean, I don't want to dance around the subject too much because I know it was devastating for you, and I know it was a difficult period of your life that you still revisit. And part of why I want to touch on it is the reason for that, because most people, when they go through grievances or they go through, you know, a bereavement or a loss in the family, they want to get over it and they want to compartmentalize the memory as much as possible. You started a foundation in her honor, man. I don't know many people that would have the courage to do that, because that, not only is it the actual physical act of setting a foundation, you're now taking it upon yourself to carry her memory every day for as long as you live. And that speaks to not only the fact that how much she meant to you, obviously, but it speaks to the caliber of a man you are, because you were not a 30-year-old man with a family and support of 1 million people when you did that. You were a young man still finding your fucking way in the world, and you wanted to find a way of honoring her in your own way. So what I wanted to ask is, when you made that choice, what was going through your mind? Like, what did you just feel that was the best way to kind of carry that forward? Was there something extra you wanted to do or say? Like, talk to me about that, making a step like that, man.
I'll tell you a story first, and then you'll understand the reason why I came to the decision I came to. So, when I was 18 years old, I got a tattoo of a cross on my right arm, and obviously my Simon, when I first got the tattoo, she was like, "Oh, let me see it." So I was showing it her, and she was like, "Oh, you need to get a tattoo with me on you." I'm like, "That's never happening. Like, I'm never, ever getting a tattoo with you on me. Like, that's never gonna happen." Because obviously we just go back and forth. We'd make stupid jokes. We had that kind of relationship where there was 18 months between us. We were super close, whether we liked it or not. We were stuck with each other, and it was always the mentality that we had in terms of. And this is the funny thing, right? Was just that alone, in terms of her saying you should do this, and I was like, it's never going to happen. Then the second she passes away, I've got the whole sleeve for her. Like, that was the first, and it sounds mad, but when she passed away, it was randomly one of the first things that popped into my head. I was like, I'm going to have to get that tattoo now. And it kind of like made me smile and laugh at a time when I probably needed it. With the foundation was, people, I need to be careful when I say this, but we seem to be in a world now where mental health is a very popular thing. I see it all the time in terms of people just quickly throwing a mental health card. People, I've got mental health issues, and it winds me up in a way, because there's people that are sat in actual mental health institutions that would do anything to get themselves out, but they can't. They've been sectioned, they've got real struggles, they're taking real medication for it, they've got visits 2 or 3 times a week with the family, and it's in a room, and it's like you're in a prison room, and you've got someone sat in there who's listening to what you're saying. And I've been there and I've lived it, and it's understanding from a sister's point of view was, she didn't have a voice in them times, because we'd go to visit her and she'd tell us about something that happened on the ward. Automatically, the woman who sat there, who shouldn't be saying anything's going well, I think, what happened, did it, Aleisha? And then automatically my sister starts to slow down. So from my point of view, the reason why I did the foundation was because I want to give people a voice, and I want to raise awareness for them where they feel like they're alone, they're trapped, they can't really speak to anyone. And it's a powerful thing to do it, because I know for a fact that if people fully understood her story and what she went through, you would understand the reason why mental health is so flawed in the UK, why mental health hospitals are being put on BBC Panorama. The hospital my sister was at was on a Panorama episode because of how badly they were treating the staff, or how badly they were treating the patients. And you, from the outside looking in, unless you've experienced it, you don't realise the amount of mishaps and horrible things that happen in there. So with the foundation, is I wanted to give my sister the limelight that she deserves, because unfortunately that light was taken from her and it was dimmed when she was in them mental health institutions, and I wanted her to shine bright. So that's the reason why I did it in the end, was because I thought, no, I'm stubborn. I'm as stubborn as her. I'm not going away. I'm not letting this situation go. And if you think for 1 minute I'm going to let what happened I'm not going to go down swinging and go down without a fight. We've got another thing coming in. There's nothing more powerful than when you listen to the story, you go, wow. So that's the reason I did it. Not just for her, but for people that are going through the exact same thing right now and they feel like they've not got a voice. Believe me, they do. They just need to find it and they need the right platform to do it on.
I totally, and again, to your first point, because I understand why you were trepidatious, because the thing with what people have to understand about the foundation is look at when it was founded. We're predating when a lot of the talk about mental health and wellness policy. I mean, fuck me, I don't think wellness, like Shuffle made a joke about it in his battle against Shotty, where it was, I need to talk about well-being and safeguards. Find me a reference to things called well-being and safeguards 10 years ago. You won't find them. They didn't exist. So the fact that you're taking it upon yourself at a time where people really don't understand, they really can't empathize, and yet you're trying to find a way of communicating it is, again, man, it struck me. It really hit me when I was, for no other reason than, again, I'll share this. Mother's been in care for about 10 years, and to say that's been a fucking trial and tribulation is a bit of an understatement, because when you look at how people think about her situation versus when you want to say, no, you really fucking don't understand it. It's very difficult for me to take that. So the fact that you're taking it upon yourself to embody it, to represent it, to have a voice for it in of your own way. And again, man, I saw the clip of you giving speech to the young'uns. Man, it really speaks to the guy that you are, because like I say, it's in that way, I take back what I said earlier. You're not the young man individually that you were 10, 15 years ago. You are now a mentor, a leader, someone who's happy to pull someone to the side of the game. Like, not the kind to run on the pitch and be the man to shout and scream and all the rest of it. Like, no, come in, give me 5 minutes. Right, this is what's going to turn it around for you, man. Right, go get it. Like, that's crazy to think, right? So one of the things that you you then have to apply this to is the crazy world of battle rap and these events where everything can go wrong and fucking any moment someone can say the wrong thing and suddenly shit's fuck, what do we do? Can you tell us any unique I mean, obviously I'm not expecting you to name names or specific circumstances, but like unique challenges that people just wouldn't expect running an event like the events that you're trying to curate. I mean, fuck me, you had me coming out of the woodwork the other day saying, hey man, is there anywhere I can put a camera and some lights? And you go, fuck, I don't fucking know. Like, I mean, I'll look into it for you. And like, well, okay, if you can look into it, that would be lovely. Like, that's the sort of shit you got to deal with, man. So like, what sort of the unique challenges, some of the unique wrinkles of doing what you do?
I think unique challenges is the venues itself, because we don't own a venue yet. Is you're having to rely on venue owners to turn up and get the staff there on time like they promised. That's caused issues. People on a Friday night who, when we've booked the battle and we've agreed to certain terms and we've agreed to certain things out of the woodwork, nowhere going, right, okay, can you sort my travel out, otherwise I'm not going to be able to make it. Plenty of times that's happened. Suddenly people then try to demand a fee last minute. Just many different issues in terms of when you turn up, battlers aren't there till... This is the issue, right, is people for years not so much struggle with this, but this has been a frustration, especially of mine, right? And you kind of alluded to it earlier, was people look at battle rap events now and think it's like it was in 2013 where events said start 12, but actually the battles won't start till 3, so I'll turn up at 3. Like, that winds me up, because that's not what we do. We've got a spreadsheet, every battle's on, how long it's going to take, when the breaks are. We've got a very specific slot, and we put battles in very specific orders to get the best reactions on the day and make sure that the fans are enjoying and loving the event. So when these battlers don't turn up till halfway through the event and they were on second or third, it's like, come on mate, what are you doing? Like, those are the kind of things where it gets frustrating, it gets difficult. Like, I'll give credit to him, but undisclosed date, right? Headline was Yunnan McKenzie. Now, Yunnan's travelling down, car breaks down, Then Yunnan has to jump on a train, right? Yunnan then jumps on a train, but then ends up in Macclesfield, which is about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Manchester. Yunnan then has to get a taxi from Macclesfield to the event. And at this point, what people don't realise is fans were stood waiting around for 40 minutes for him to get there because it was literally the last battle. That's obviously not his fault, but trying to organise and keep the fans engaged and entertained at that point was difficult. So they're the little things which people don't realise in terms of the little things which you have to contend with. But once again, if I hadn't been through the Apex saga, if I wouldn't have been through the rebuild where the venue floods at 3 o'clock in the morning the night before and we've got no venue in the morning, if I wouldn't have been through where the sponsor pulls out on the All-Star game literally the night before and we're 10 grand down and we don't know what the hell we're going to do and how we're going to fund the event, like if I don't go through situations like that, I probably would have been panicking, whereas it was like, it'll be here, don't worry, we can deal with it, like we'll just have a laugh, we'll do stupid things at the event. So they're the little things that you've got to contend with, not many people think about.
I mean, I'm sorry to have to out you in such a public way, though, because I do ultimately understand the reason for you taking this position, excelling in so many ways. It's a long and convoluted way of you getting back at Briggsy for robbing you against fame, isn't it? Be honest now. Come on, just tell everybody. Come clean. You let it slip in your interview with Briggsy that you're still working on that revenge angle, and you haven't forgiven him. They even played the clip.
He's a scumbag. He's a scumbag. Like he knows it, and I know it. Like I don't care what he says. Scumbag behaviour from him. Disgusting human being.
What was terrible was he played the clip in the interview, and he spends fucking 5 seconds just going, "Nah, it's the other one." Yeah, like fucking bullshit, man. Like if you're gonna give him the battle, you better fucking give me some information.
I can recite it word for word, right? Honestly, go and look it up. Listen. Bloodstro's fucked it up.
Oh god! And so the only again, I understand the only reasonable recourse is to become head of his, head of an aspect of his company and torch it to the ground, and then just say we're even, and then just peace out from there. That's why there's no heel turn, everybody. That's why, because you'd never see it coming. You'd never see it coming, but then it would make perfect sense when it's all said and done. I'm always working the third angle, don't you get me wrong. Okay, right, maybe he's not. Maybe instead, like I say, he's worked himself into a position through hard work, dedication, a clear mind, and application of experiences. But one of the things I did want to ask is, what did it feel like coming back? I mean, it mentioned here, 6 years between performances. So, and again, someone like Danny Jack. So, how did that feel? I mean, from effectively stepping out of one era into another, like, what did that feel for you?
It was weird, like really weird. I don't know why Briggs had it in his mind that of all the battlers in the UK that he wanted to get back, that I was somehow on that list. I never got my head around it.
Why not?
But he was always like, no, just because it's like, I'm not. Look, you see it all the time, right? When you see people online who've got these crazy ass egos, it's like, I don't understand why you've got that ego. I don't understand why you're talking like you're the best person in the world, yada, yada, yada. I'm a realist. I knew I was okay in some moments of battles, but I didn't really rate the run that I went on. It never really got to show the potential that I thought I had. But then I realised pretty quickly, like, look, when you look at the people that came out, right? The Lunas, the Shotties, the Tonys, the Shuffles, the Marlows, the Geminis, the Frankies, the Souls, the Bizzos, the Bobbies, the Kojays, like, I'm not in that realm. I don't ever try to claim I'm ever going to try and get in that realm. I was comfortable with that. So I was more than happy, because obviously I took 3 years away from battling because of what happened. So then come back to an event and then I end up in Prem, and then it was, right, I want you to battle. I was like, why? It's like, no, because I want you to battle. I was like, yeah, but why? You're like, I just don't get it. So then, not even exaggerating, and I know for a fact he spoke about it a few times, it took him at least a year to convince me, because I was just so adamant and I was so stubborn. I was just like, I don't want to do it. Now, a lot of this is from different standpoints, right? One of them being, I'm not putting myself in that position again in terms of the reaction, and I've just managed to get the fans to overcome certain hurdles with me as a person and understand me. So I thought, I'm not doing that. Then it was why, like, my biggest thing is, and I'm not saying people would, but I've always got this fear in the back of my head that someone would overstep that mark and mention her. Because it's one of my events, I don't want to ever put Briggz in a position, put Shot in a position, because I'd close the event. And because I'm helping them run the business, I don't ever want to be a detriment to that, and I don't ever want to put them in that position. So there's always that in the back of my mind. But yeah, it felt bizarre, like, just the whole writing for it was different, because, like, when I finally said, you know what, I'll do it, I realised that I needed to step up a lot of my writing. I needed to step up a lot of different things. I needed to show the fans that the Bloodstro that they've seen in that battle is completely different, so much better than the one that they've seen back in 2012, 2013. It was just bizarre, like, the preparation for it, hated it. Like, just preparing for a battle is difficult, because I'm trying to run an event, I've got work, I've got my little girl now, and then it's stood in my back room at stupid o'clock at night trying to remember and recite rounds and trying to perform. It's just like, I don't understand how Briggz does it so much in terms of running an event and battling, because it's stressful as anything. It definitely gave me a different perspective, but it was, and it's just little things that you don't think of, because at Prem we do walkout songs. I spent stupid amount of time trying to think of a walkout song. Like, it's the little things that people don't think of. It's crazy, like, and
it's little, but it's fucking important.
Yeah, so it's like, so honestly, I'm not even exaggerating, right? I wanted the game One Blood because I thought it is absolutely perfect for me to come out to that song. Like, imagine One Blood, and like, it's me, do you know what I mean? Then obviously he started being a dick, and he started trying to diss Pat Stay. It's like, nah, get the fuck out of here. Like, there's no way I'm coming out to that song. And then it was, I didn't have a song on the day, and Briggz just looked at me and went, look, he went, this is your return for you to have fun. Why not pick a song that people are going to sing along to? I was like, yeah, but like what? And he went, something Oasis, it's Manchester. And I was like, and then it clicked, and then I went, all right, okay. I went, yeah, we'll go with that then. And I just, honestly, this is one of my favourite things ever, because obviously they filmed all the intros from the Undisclosed 7. And just me stood at the top of them stairs, 2 days going to be the day that they're going to throw it back to you, and everyone's singing with me. And then I stand on stage, and it was just like, that was a moment I'll never forget, because I never had that moment when I was battling years ago. Like, and this is the thing that makes me laugh, right? And I always felt slighted by this, but Don't Flop years and years ago did like the biggest reaction video. My battle with Big J got a 2-minute reaction. 2 minutes. Never once ended up in that video. Now that's purely because of popularity, because I wasn't a popular figure then.
That's why I was going to bring it back to you earlier, saying you don't belong in the TIT conversation. Man, you stopped the room twice in that battle, and I'm thinking, wait, you're saying you're not in those... Wait, how many battlers stop rooms dead in the middle of a battle? It just doesn't happen as often as you'd think it does.
But the reason why is because the level of expectation was so low, they weren't surprising it. Let's be honest, that's the reason why. I'm humble enough to openly say the reason why that stopped the room so much, because you could see people like, what? They didn't expect me to come up with something like that. So then it was in the Danny Jack battle, it was obviously I went with a stupid first round, because look, I look at battling now, right, and you can see me stood there. I can't help but do it. Like, I can predict what people are going to say sometimes in the round. Knowing Danny Jack, because me and Danny Jack were talking a lot leading up to the battle, and I knew he was going to go, I can't get beat by Bloodstro. There's no way I can lose this battle. I knew he was going to come out swinging in the first round. So what's the best way to counteract it? Let's look at me and Luna for a second. If he's going to come out with that kind of style, let's just make it stupid. So I did the whole pan angle, which was, some of the puns were hilarious, some of them were just fucking stupid, but I knew it would kind of be that, but no one expected that from me. And then the whole reason why I wanted the Danny Jack battle was because me and Briggs were going back and forth on this, and Briggs, when he booked the battle, was just like, I'll do it, but you cannot talk about the charity thing, it's overplayed. And I just said to him, I went, that's fine, but I've got an angle, and I didn't tell him what it was. I went, I've got an angle here which feeds into that, and if I execute it well, he's not beating around. I can guarantee it. And that's why I went with the angle I went with the second round, in terms of, because no one knew what happened, barring me, Danny Jack, Matt Edwards and Briggs, about those inboxes that morning of the event. No one knew. I had that saved because I knew that if I execute this perfectly and I land a haymaker the way I want it to, and that's why I'm not even said that round is probably one of it's not probably, it's the best structured round I've ever done. But the reason why it got the reaction it got is because, like, I've got the raw footage that someone, well, actually not raw footage, like on the footage, you can hear Shotty go, what the fuck, stroke, like one of the rounds, because even he's like, what? Like, where's that just come from in terms of use your card to portion your coke? And he was like, what? Like, he didn't expect that kind of writing from me, but I wanted to make a point and I wanted to make a statement in that battle. And that second round for me is powerful because it came from a real place. Like, no. You claim that we're mates, but then you try to do this in the morning of the event. Like, you're talking about our card. Like, there's so many different layers to that round. I was like, so it was definitely it was just a different experience, but I was more knowledgeable and I understood my assignment then than what I ever did back then. I understood how to write. I understood how to multi. I understood how to layer punches. I never understood that years ago. So did I enjoy it? Yeah. Would I do it again? Absolutely not.
What? No! Come on!
Nah, it's like, because do you know what the thing is? And I say this all the time. I run events. I don't ever want to put me in a position which could take someone's spot that's going to go on and have a better career than what I've got.
Yeah, I suppose. But still, this is not the place to... No, I'm cutting that because you're not saying something like that I've not had confirmed anywhere on this pokey little channel. You go on Plug and you get them to do an episode on it. No, you forget you heard that. The man behind the camera is not talking. Well, that is saying something, because the fact that you've gone through that roller coaster, you've considered it from as many different angles as possible, and you've still gone in for one reason or another. That just speaks to something I don't think many people could even fathom, let alone embody. And that's craziness, man, because in something, and this leads into one of my final questions, which is, in something like battle rap, which, I don't feel I'm out of place saying that some of the guys I've spoken to, they'll tell me off camera, like, man, there's some stuff I just can't really talk about because I know if I talk about it, it'll get used against me in an angle, and I gotta be careful about that sort of shit. So you're dealing with an industry and a genre where there's nice people, and I'm sure you get along with them most of the time, but part of you is like, but I might have to battle you one day, and even though we're friends, and even though I'm sure it'll be a great event, it'll be entertaining, I'd like to win. I'd like to be the one that the fans take away as saying, I want to see him next, right? My question is, how has your relationship with the genre changed now that you're less in that position, less in the position that you have to be worried about what someone might use as an angle or a bar against you, versus now when they're kind of looking at you and thinking, I really don't want to piss him off because he's going somewhere. He's making a lot of right decisions. He's making a lot of good moves. He's got a future in this industry that might be a guiding light for me and others like me. How has that changed? Or how has it changed? Or is everything still kind of on an even keel with you?
It's definitely changed to a certain extent, but what people don't realise, which isn't really spoke about, is for the first 2-3 years, the amount of battlers that were up and coming that were like, what battle you? And I was like, why? Then I realised the reason why is because it's a look for them and it gives them an opportunity. And my whole response was, go and earn it. Like, like the whole ScoMo thing was just wild and came out of nowhere, and that was just a stupid thing. But he was another one where he's not stupid. He, regardless of whatever people think, I hold a certain stature in this, in the scene, right? So
100%.
for them, a lot of them looked at me because I hadn't battled for years. They were thinking, this is an easy target, this is an easy win. It's gonna propel me into a certain position which will help me going forward. I knew that. Like, I wasn't stupid. Like, I knew the reason that's why they were angling for that kind of battle, and I was like, not so much lost respect for him, but in a way, I had to kind of like have proper honest conversations with him. A lot of them were on the phone, a lot of them were face to face, and I was like, look, you're trying to kick a dead horse. Like, what you're doing, like, this isn't the race that you need to be going down. This is what you need to be looking at. These are the battles you need to be looking at. This will propel you in a much better stratosphere than what a battle with little old me can. And when I stood there and I was on the phone to someone and I explained it to them, they were like, all right, okay, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, like, people expect you to beat me. You go and beat such and such. They don't expect that. That's a better look for you than what it is. Like, you're taking a step back. Like, you don't need to do that in your career. You need to be doing this. But it's definitely changed over the years. It's definitely given me a different outlook of battling. It's made me appreciate it more, because just the little things like the amount of time I spent trying to structure that second round, and then you watch the likes of Soul, and I hate him because he's just good at everything. I love him to death, but he winds me up how good he is at everything. Like, it proper pisses me off. Like, and I can't even imagine how long it takes him to structure his round. And then it's like, you look at Shotty, Briggz, Bobby, Koj, like Bizzo, they just make it look so easy, and it's like, I know it's not. So it makes me appreciate them a hell of a lot more. And when you look at Shuffle and the whole unique approach to, hi, can I speak to HR? Like, it's so genius. Like, just the art form is just incredible, and unfortunately, it's the last raw art form of hip hop where it's not being commercialized, where battlers can be themselves, they can have different styles, and when people come to an event for the first time, some people have got this perception of it's like 8 Mile, it's like because you're going after each other, you're disrespecting each other. People think it's just going to be a horrible environment, and then people turn up and they're like, it's like one big family party. Like, it's like you've not seen your uncle for 5 years. Like, people don't understand that aspect, and it's definitely made me appreciate it a hell of a lot more. But just being involved in the behind the scenes stuff made me appreciate it a hell of a lot as well. And once again, it's the guidance of the little Frodo himself.
I'm laughing with you, Briggsy, not at you, because you're right. He's not only is he just listen to some of the anecdotes and stories he would tell. You just know he's just a bank. He's just got it in like just a million different Columbo, just one last thing moments. Just he's brilliant. But like, you mentioned something there, and I think it goes without saying that I can't speak to this from the Don't Flop days or a different era when I would have viewed the scene differently just because I was a younger man. How do you feel about that? The fact that you guys really have cultivated a community. Like, I went to the Plug 3, and I was not expecting the atmosphere I expected. I expected it to be like a music concert, like shuffle you in, herd you in, hem you in, right? None of you fucking say or do anything, or there's a security guard clobbering you over. It was, hi, how you doing? Great, okay, come on in, right, battlers start coming in, and they're just swanning. They're just taking it in, and they're shaking hands with the fans, like, hope you enjoy the event, And then, like you say, like clockwork, it's treated like a production, but a production that's tactile and so... safe's the wrong word, because I'm acutely aware it's battle rap, so there is a hint of danger about the atmosphere, but I'm saying, like, there was such a great atmosphere there, and I can't deny the fact that that's, again, part of this identity that you guys have cultivated at Premier Battles. So I guess what I want to ask is, how do you feel about that? How do you feel that, like I said, the biggest compliment I could pay to the Premier Battles event that I went to, and that I'm sure is going to be the case when I go up to see Bizzo in October, is I could take any of you and you'd love it. You'd laugh. You might be a little bit quizzical about some of the bars, because some of the bars might be related to the rappers in a way that you don't understand. But a lot of this stuff, you're going to go, oh, actually, no, this is this is fun. And then you'll see him come off stage, walk up to you, say, hey, I hope you enjoyed the battle. What do you think? That's weird. I don't usually talk to the performers, and the performers usually up their own asses in ego. Like, how do you feel about that's the culture you guys have fostered in an era where, like you say, and it fucking makes me roll my eyes. It's 8 Mile, bro. Like, get the fuck out of here. How do you feel about that? I guess is in my long-winded way of asking, how do you feel about the culture that you guys have? I would argue you have fostered.
It's unique, and people don't realize how you. So, for example, right, when what happened with the whole Don't Flop folding in the way that it did, and it just fell apart, and then the UK scene was left without a real figurehead, and there was no big events, and there was no events at all. When Prem started, one thing which we openly spoke about before we ever had an event was we can't be like any other league. We have to be different. One thing which, when you put all of our heads together, was we're all massive football fans. As you can see online, Briggz have been dick, but we are massive football fans. And then you've got Shotty with the wrestling aspects and the entertainment and everything. And it was, once you put and you combine that together, was you had match day one, who, not so much in terms of the levels of battles, the battles were incredible on that day, right? People still talk about that event as one of the best events they've ever been to, because they just never expected it. You've got merchandise, you've got team shirts, you've got scarves, you've got chants, you've got everything, and we literally lived up to it, and we just fell into it and just went, you know what, we're going to jump 2 feet in here. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we've tried. And it's out of nowhere, like, we've got soul, and everyone's going. Then you've got the shark chants, the pride chants, and you've got like all the different things, and the walkout music. Like, no one was really doing walkout music till we did it. Like, and this is the thing which makes me laugh more than anything, right? We had an app before anyone had an app in battle rap. Us, little old Prem, had an app which you could have, and you could watch battles on, and you could watch content on. And then we moved away from the app, obviously went to the Patreon, but we were doing stuff which no one had seen in the scene before. Not just in the UK, I'm talking in the US as well. When you come to our events, it's so different than any event you go to, because we are stupid, we take the piss out of each other, we have a laugh, we enjoy doing it. Like, we love spending time with each other, and we love showing that side of ourselves. And you see that with some of the walkout music. Like, come on, we've got Frost walking out to Vanilla Ice. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. You've got Gas Buffer Undisclosed coming out to Pokemon, and you've got Gas coming out to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because I lived and breathed Power Rangers as a kid. You've got Grazza walking out to Pokemon. Like, you don't see that. Like, you've got Reverse, and you've got a Haaland song on the speakers just because he looks like Haaland. And then automatically, like, that kind of, like, there's just little things that we do. And we're not stupid. Like, I'm not saying we're geniuses, but we're very, very selective with certain people's walkout music, because we know it will get a certain reaction in the room. And just before a battle, we want them ready, and we want them. A lot of people, because some people are new, some fans are new, they don't know what to expect. So they might be a bit timid, a bit on edge, like they might be a bit shoulders are tucked in. Whereas you play something and they can, so like Reverse is a perfect example, right? You look at him, does he look like Haaland? 100%. He looks like Haaland. So then when you play a Haaland song, automatically people look at it and go, I get it. And then automatically the guard comes down, and then they're ready to have a good time, and then you're going to get a bigger reaction off the back of some of the bars that are coming out. And we do things for a reason. But I manage a men's football team, right? And I say this all the time, is people can't replicate my dressing room. People cannot replicate the events that we do. The surroundings, the environment, the entertainment, the fun, the silliness. Like, you add that all together, there's a reason why fans love coming to Prem events. And the Prem events are different. You've got Plug, which is very serious. Some of the battles on there are Battle of the Year contenders. You've got match days, you've got Afterlife, which was just a shit show and event, but one of the best events I've ever been to because it was just carnage and it was a mess, and I don't think anyone understands, unless you were there that night, how bad of an event that was. But it just lives long in folklore in terms of it was just a shambles. And then you've got Undisclosed, where you've got new battlers trying to come up, and you've got a bit of everything for everyone. And I think that's one of the reasons why Grime's gone on to have the success it has in. It's weird to think that we've not really scratched the surface yet.
We've got to come back to that in a second, but one thing I've got to rewind. Okay, favourite Power Ranger ever?
Oh, it was the White Ranger. It was not even close.
Fuck! No! Jason OG all fucking day, son. Come on! He beat OP Tommy!
Nah.
He beat Green Ranger, handed all 5 Power Rangers and the Megazord its ass. Jason beat him!
Yeah.
Jason beat him!
Yeah.
With the sword! With the shiny, stabby sword! You can't know! White Ranger... Fuck it!
Yeah.
I know... R.I.P. Jason David Frank, but fuck the White Ranger. He can't just come in and say, well, I'm the leader now. Fuck you. No, Jason's the leader.
So listen, right? Afterlife. So obviously it was a Halloween event. All the time had to dress up, right? Rick Charles, the scumbag that he is, I will never forgive him for this, ruined my childhood by dressing as the Pink Ranger.
Oh, now there's a mental image for you kids.
Ruined my entire... And bear in mind, I'm having to stand opposite him and battle him. Ruined my entire childhood by, of all people, of all the Rangers, why the pink one? So, yeah, if anyone that wasn't Afterlife, that doesn't understand how much of a mess Afterlife was, that gives you the perfect understanding how much of a shit show that event was. Fucking Pink Power Rangers scumbag.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's, yeah, that's something. But, oh man, I thought we were getting over the fact that we're mortal enemies, being a Liverpool and Arsenal fan respectively, but no, White Ranger, god damn it. Alright, fine. My search for my kindred spirit continues, but that's for another day. For now, let's get back to the point, which is PremierBattles. You guys, I don't think it's any secret, have been tremendously ambitious with the cards you've tried to put together. And yeah, to say when I saw that flyer, it's like, fucking hell, man. Like, that's pretty fucking tasty, but it only begs one question for me, and this is a perfect opportunity to pose it to someone who's maybe in a position to make it reality one day. What's your dream card? If you could put together the ideal PremierBattles card, balancing old, new, veteran, upcomer, broad appeal with lyrical dynamicism and speciality into an event that you think, man, this about fucking tops it. Could you put together something like that? And if so, who'd be on it? Or would you say, man, I think Pipe Dream, because that's just not how Battle Rap works. You're always gonna have to gear it a certain way in order to make the event successful in its own right.
Look, this car, right? So me and Briggs, when we went Dublin, before the carnage that was Dublin, we spoke about this on the plane. We speak about this a lot, right? In terms of, right, unlimited amount of money, what's your dream card, what you're doing. And it's bizarre because our cards are very, very similar, which is a good thing because it shows me that we're both on the same wavelength in terms of quality and where we're trying to take the events in the direction of premium. But I can give you 5 battles straight away that would be on the dream card. Now, this isn't all of them, but I can give you 5 straight away.
Hit me with them. 5, go.
Shorty Lux. Bobby Disaster.
Oh, good lord, that's violence. That is just pure violence. All right.
Bizzo Rumney. In terms of a rapping point of view,
I don't need any excuse to watch Bizzo's the man, man. I'll follow business to the end of
In
the
terms of a stylistically battle point of view, Koj pass. From a rapper's point of view, that's a ridiculous.
Yeah, and Koj's really putting in the work recently as well. I've got to give him such fucking respect for just doing it, and just not. He's so relentless. Just can't take how relentless he is sometimes. That's a really good one. Go on then. Sorry. I'm picturing it now in my mind, like what it looks like on the flyer. Sorry.
Tony Hollow. Shufflo against Ilmac Thesaurus.
Go on then.
And then the one which because I just want to see it'd be like Briggsy and B Magic.
I think he might go far in this industry, ladies and gentlemen. I think he might have a career in this whole booking battle rap lark. That's pretty fucking good. And you say that you've had these conversations with Briggsy and like you're trying to formulate how it would go in both your minds, sort of thing.
Yeah, like we talk about like dream cards all the time. Like for example, right, when you look at the newcomers, and let's say for example it was right. Okay, let's say the top names aren't available. Who would you book out the newcomers? Reverse Roan is a ridiculous battle. When you think of it stylistically, Reverse and Roan is a great fucking battle. I'd like. He's really love to try over the next couple of years because I think he's a star. When you watch his Undisclosed 9 performance against Frost, oh my lord, he's incredible, right? Then you've got Slester. Slester Carter Deems was a perfect battle. Stylistically, everything about it was perfect. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen because of Carter, but something I'd love to try. And then you can just go down people and you look at him and you go, right, okay. So many great battles for not just the veterans, but the newcomers that are coming through as well. So, and do you know what the thing is as well is, like, there's battles that I'd love to see. Like, obviously you've got Shotty Twerk. Anytime you see Twerk, it's just he is unreal. Geechee, I absolutely love Geechee. Like, it would honestly be insane to have a Geechee on a card. Like, he's my favourite battler. Him, Nitty, Twerk are my 3 favourite battlers at the minute. And have been for a long time, to be honest. So, if at any point we've got Twerk, if at any point we could complete the trilogy, I'd love for that to happen. Now, I'm surprised Briggsy hasn't said this numerous times, but I went through a stage where I loved B-Dot as a battler. Every single time we were talking about internationals, Briggsy would get a message going, can we book B-Dot? Can we book B-Dot? Can we book B-Dot? I was finding any way imaginable to book B-Dot. So the amount of times when we have a conversation, it's like, what's your dream card? It's like, I don't want to hear about B-Dot. Because he knows automatically I'll try and think of something. And lo and behold, one card that was missing on there is Soul versus B-Dot. What a great battle that would be. So yeah.
And that must be because, like, again, you guys, because, and again, I don't think it's I think it's controversial to say that you guys are the pinnacle now in the UK. I get that Don't Flop is still a thing, and they're still put on cards, and they're still attracting names, and they've got a big one coming up. I totally take all those points, but for me, and I'd categorise myself as a lot of fans are or were. That's a key word. As a lapsed battle rap fan, you know, I kind of grew out of it. I kind of lost touch of it. I kind of missed the whole Don't Flop saga, to be perfectly honest with you. Come back and go, what the fuck happened? And then you discover PremierBattles and you're like, huh. And then you see, again, the production, the treatment of the genre as, guys, we're not a carnival turning up and offering you cotton candy while we're rifling through your pockets, okay? This is a fucking production. We're going to treat it with the respect and reverence that we all have always held for it. It's just the people that ran the events, for whatever reason, didn't have it for that same reverence. But so the temptation then is, like, you want to book those dream events, those dream cards, but you're also trying to balance it. You're also trying to balance it with what's realistic, what's good for the up-and-comers, because it's all well and good putting, a rookie or a newbie in who's got potential in with a name, except for when it goes wrong, and then suddenly it's like, ah, shit, now this guy's we've got to fucking find a way to get his confidence back. So my question is, when you're looking at putting together a card or putting together an event or pitching ideas and stuff like that, do you have a philosophy when it comes to putting together these sorts of things? Do you have like an idea in your mind of what the audience's expectations are versus what your hopes are as a promotion for a certain battler? Like, how does that all come together, or is it more instinctive and more organic?
So it comes from two different points, right? Is battlers will tell you this, whoever have dealt with me, Briggz, Trubs, Fizz, this is something which me and Briggz have been doing since the inception, is whenever we book a battler, right, we have a plan for them in terms of, right, okay, you beat this person, you'll then take a step up, you'll go against person A, person B, you beat that person, you'll then go up against this, and it's constant fingers, right? So we're always booking people 3 battles in advance. So we're being smart in terms of, right, okay, for this card, this battle makes sense, because if he beats this person, he can then go and battle this person on this card. So it's, cards sometimes come together like that. But one thing which a lot of what felt like was happening across the UK over the period of time was not so much lost touch, but we were fans at one point, and people forget that. So when I'm putting cards together, when Briggz and all the other guys are putting cards together, it's because it's what they would want to see as a fan, and you see that in the quality of the cards that are being put together. Like,
100%.
when I first started, like, O'Shea was my favourite battler. In 2009, Oath was goated. He was just incredible. He'd say the most wild stuff. He was hilarious. He was entertaining. He was himself. So when you look at Undisclosed 10, and you look at the theme across Undisclosed 10, that's my kind of dream card in terms of comedy. Like, it's got everyone on there that deserves to be on there for that kind of card, because I know what that card's going to be. So then when you look at the plug, you know what that card's going to be when it's got Shotty and Twerk as a headliner. Then the theme matches, you know what I mean? So one thing which we're very... And don't get me wrong, we've made mistakes and we learned from mistakes, and we booked wrong people, and Apex happened, and that was a massive reality check for all of us to go, right, okay, we need to take a step back, and we need to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in that kind of position again. Is certain cards will have a certain theme, but that's why, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, is you've got a different aspect of every style which will suit every different fan on cards. You'll have your comedians, you'd have your comedy battles, you'll have your serious battles, you have your ones where they can go either way. And it's, so when you look at the cards, is we kind of book it from both point of views in terms of, right, okay, this is what we've got set out for you, this is the plan that we've got for you, this is where we want you to get to by this point, these are the kind of opportunities we want to give you. And then we look at it from a fan point of view as well in terms of what the fans want, because we were fans at one point and people forget that.
Oh man, I can't imagine what it must be like being a fan of something that you then grow into, participate in. You get to then have these unique moments where it's like, holy fucking hell, that's so and so. Oh wait, he's talking to me. This is the fucking craziest thing. To now, you're now the one who's going to create those experiences for a new generation of either existing fans that are coming back into the scene, and a group of fans that are coming into this from a generation of people that are only used to seeing snippets. They're not seeking this stuff out. It's being fed to them, and it's almost a blink and you miss it generation where the trick now is to catch the eye, to capture the imagination in a moment. And that's why you guys being in the position you are, I don't think it's a question of if. I think it's a question of when. You guys put out that 30-second clip on TikTok or Instagram, whatever it is, and it's a guy in his pomp, and he says something, and it just hits just right. And then suddenly, boom, everyone wants to, where the fuck is, wait, so that's PremierBattles, wait, they do these fucking every month or every couple of months, and there's fucking 6 of these things that happen per event? Holy fucking shit. Like, I just feel like that's the next thing, man, because when you think about what captured the imagination and what was, now referred to as the golden era of battle rap back in the day, it was a whole battle, which... Find me a 15-year-old that's going to sit through 30 minutes of content now to then do the next thing. You know what I mean? But battle rap is situated uniquely in that it doesn't have to be. It can be a bar, it can be a scheme, it can be a round that just makes its way round. So you guys have that ability with the production and that focus and the ability to pilot these guys' careers and the social media presence that you guys, again, I'd argue, do better than anybody else to really create and hone something. So my question is, who are those people? Who are those guys that you think are just a fraction away, a hair away, an event away, a battle away from really capturing the imagination and exploding in terms of their presentation, their talent, their execution in previous battles, or just someone that you have high hopes for personally?
Look, so Bizzle's a champ, right? And he's a champ for a reason. I still don't think he gets the recognition or the praise that he deserves, right?
Not even a little
bit. Which is wild when you look at where he's come from to where he is now.
Undesirable to ungoddamn deniable, man. That's how I typify him. He's the Cody Rhodes of battle rap, as far as I'm concerned. He's that guy as far as he's come from, where no one gave him a shot. Oh, come on, man. Okay, I'll watch your match, but whatever. No, man. He's the fucking guy, man. Yes, he's the fucking champ, man.
So he deserves that kind of a moment. Bobby, he's another one in terms of, when you look at his actual accolades in battle rap, right? He's another one that I feel like gets overlooked. He's just this white guy, he's a crackhead, he's this, he's that. When it's like, right, okay, just wait for a second. He's been on World Dom twice. That's number one. He's battled in 4 different continents. That's number 2. He's involved in arguably the best 2-on-2 the UK scene on UK soil in terms of scapegoats and shuffler. He's involved in that. There's certain things which Bobby is involved with where he gets massively overlooked. He's another one in terms of, you look at his Frankie Fraser performance, it was stunning. And the thing what I love the most about Bobby is what you see is what you get. He's just that real. And he's another one, right? You need a Bobby Rex in your corner. And I know this from first-hand experience, right? My second round against Danny Jack, I sent it to Bobby the night before, or not the night before, a couple of weeks out. I sent it him on a Thursday night, right? I woke up on a Friday night, 7 o'clock in the morning, to 6 voice notes telling me how trash it was. And the reasons why it was trash, and the reasons why I needed to change it. But because he cares about the art form so much, and he's so authentic, he just can't help but be honest. So then when you look at Bobby, right, and you look at that Frankie Fraser performance, it's like, I'm a big dog pussy, go and run up a tree. Do you know how simple that might sound to someone? But do you know how effective it is coming from him in that round, and the delivery and the presence? Like, her came to the event, right? And I was stood there, and her openly said to Bobby, you made me want to battle again, just off that performance. He's got that star power. You look at Koj in the Gemini battle, no one gave him a chance in that battle. Not one person thought he was going to beat Gem. Not one person. And he took that moment and he seized it, and he had to fight for every reaction. He's another one where he started to, and he needed to do it because he's a pain in the ass. As much as I love him, he's a dickhead for certain things. But the thing with Ko is, a prepared Koj is dangerous, but it was making sure that he was prepared, and he was on it for that battle. And I know for a fact he's on it for this real sick battle. And because this is a perfect battle for him, so him and Sick could do that. Bizzo and Castro could do that. But the one that deserves it more than anyone is Frodo Baggins himself, because of everything he's done for the UK scene.
Why? Why? You're giving him his flowers and you can't help it. Why? God bless him. Like,
because all I've had all day off him is WhatsApp with nonsense.
That's so. Do you know what, man? I gotta defend him here, because like he's. Do you know? I will say this, right. This is the other thing I don't understand about the hate in the mid. Don't diss battle rappers. 2 things. Number 1, it's their job to strategically break down their opponents lyrically. Second, they're all much bigger in real life than you anticipate. Shuffle T was 7'10". I think you were on stage, and you were up there somewhere in and amongst the fucking fixtures and the lights. Fucking Briggsy doesn't strike me, but he's only a couple of inches shorter than me. So it's like, fuck me, they're all massive. So don't be stupid. They're all huge. So don't pick on any of them.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Did you just use Briggsy in a sentence where you're trying to describe that battlers are all huge?
They all have a very commanding physical presence. The only exception to this that I've found so far is Bizzo, ironically enough, because Bizzo he's tall, but he looks taller on stage than he is. When I dapped him in person, he was just like a dude. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just a dude. You know what I mean? Whereas Shuffle T, I felt like if I leant in and I felt like I was in his fucking coat pocket or something weird. Like it was a surreal experience. Marlowe as well. He looked like a Roald Dahl character, like almost leaning over me to reach my arm from above. It was so surreal. But I digress. We were coming off Jesus Christ. Well, talk to me about the upcoming card for a second, because honestly, it's one of those ones where I look at it and I'm like, how the fuck did they pull this one off? And also, how the fuck is this going to go? I mean, you can take your pick. For me, it's Marlowe Quill. Like, that one for me is really intriguing, because it's like Quill has still got the bit between his teeth about wanting to be the face of battle rap of the UK. Marlowe, you know, is just so stupidly creative and oddly, you know, just impossibly comedic. But then you've got Shuffle, you've got Harry Baker, and again, like you said, you've got O'Shea, and you can never rule O'Shea out in terms of saying just that one thing that you go, wait, what? Like, where the fuck did that come from? So talk to me about it. Talk to me about your expectations for it, what you're excited for, and why people should really, and they should be, losing their fucking minds about the prospect.
Look, it's me and Briggs always said that we wanted Undisclosed 10 to be big. I didn't think it would be as big as it is. Now, when you look at it, there's certain circumstances that fell on my lap, right? Which I'm not going to sit here and say that I had to do a massive amount of work. XQZ is an example, right? Bizzo randomly WhatsApped me one day saying, "You do know that XQZ is in England in September?" And I was like, "What?" Like, let me see if I can make something happen. So I hit him up, and he was like, "Oh, I was coming to the event anyway." And I was like, "Perfect. You might as well just battle then." He was like, "Yeah, but I'm with my wife." I was like, "Yeah, but the perfect time to make a Prem debut." So out of nowhere, we got that, and then I threw him a list of names in. I didn't want to just give him the stereotypical, the Tony D's, because that's not what Undisclosed is. Like, Undisclosed is giving people opportunities and bringing people through the ranks and helping him progress as a battler. So I give him, and I'll tell you the names that I give him. I give him Black T, I give him Caveman, I give him Reverse, I give him Gast, give him Tech. I can't remember the last one, but I give him a list of different battlers that I thought deserved this look. He then went away, watched him. He loved Reverse, he loved Tech. He just thought that Black T would be entertaining in terms of stylistically. So then I went and made that happen. You've got Sean Cray in Free Will, which is just going to be a hilarious battle. You've got Lazy and Sam Hypes, and obviously it's Team Venom all the way in. Lazy is another one, right, where the reason I picked Lazy in the team format is because he's another one where I don't think he gets the credit or the look that he deserves. He is a phenomenal writer, and I say this all the time, right? His battle against Crow. If you want to know how to perfectly execute an angle, when he's talking about how Crow likes to be involved in everything in the scene, the angle he's got where he's like, you might as well stick your head in a noose because you always want to be kept in a loop, is absolutely ludicrous of a line. And he's got that kind of ability. So one thing which I've really tried to do with Lazy so much is to put him in moments and put him in battles this season which will give him that look where it will help elevate him. So for example, right, he's on the plug, on the Shotty Shuffle card, and he absolutely killed it. He's now on this Liverpool card, right? He's got another battle coming up on a perfect card where he's going to absolutely kill it. He deserves that kind of look, right? Then you've got Kingsley and Celester. Now, salute to Kingsley. He was the one that recommended Kitchen Street in terms of the venue, because obviously a Liverpool lad, so I needed someone where he would be able to give me different ideas of different venues. So we managed to get that sorted and locked in, and him and Celester's a great battle. Him and Celester is a fucking good battle. Like, it's such a good battle, and it's a perfect event to do it. Because they're both dry, they're both humorous, they can both take the piss out of you. Great battle. Black to XQZ, I've already said, for me to get XQZ on this card is great, because he was just on a pack card, and he absolutely killed it against one of my favourite people in the world in Pathogenic. Like, love Path to death, and he was phenomenal in that battle. So to have him on the card is just another debut. So that's 27 Prem debuts coming from Undisclosed alone. 27 Prem debuts from one run of events. 27 is a lot. So that's average, 2.7 debuts an event? That's crazy. Find me anywhere in the UK that will kind of do that. You can't. So then you've got that. Then you've got the 2-on-2 right now. Pain in the arse is these two. Razov and LSD created a WhatsApp chat with me, and for 4 days straight, every morning sent a selfie of himself like this. Just basically. And they called it Get Us on Undisclosed 10. That was the name of the group chat. And every single day, they would send me pictures, because they knew that we were going to do something crazy with the card. So, because I knew that they wanted to do a 2-on-2, it was a case of, right, what teams are there? So initially, I was thinking, right, Reverse and Kingsley, because I think that would be a good dynamic, because I know them two have spoken about doing a 2-on-2. Kingsley then because it was in Liverpool, he'd rather do a solo one, so I was like, right, okay. I didn't think I would be able to talk Frankie and Frost into doing it. So I just got them in a group chat, had the conversation with him and said, look, this is the card. This is potentially what's going to be on the card. This is a card you probably don't want to miss out on. And they're like, right, okay, let's do it. So then I managed to sort that battle out. Marlowe, obviously, was the last addition on the card. Obviously, we had Shuffle and Harry Baker, that's another one where I didn't think we were going to get that done, because Harry's not battled in a long time. You've seen Harry on Russell Howard. Harry's an absolute, like, people don't, once you step out the UK battle rap bubble for a second, right, people don't realise how big Harry Baker's become over the past 4 or 5 years, and some of the things that he's doing and his poetry. He's a superstar, right? So trying to get him back was difficult, because I just didn't think that we were going to be able to do it. And we didn't think that he would accept that battle. And at the same time, I didn't think that Shuffle would do it either. Them two have got history, right? They've called each other out years and years ago. They've got history. They've got a lot of mutual respect for each other. When we locked that in, I was like, oh, this card's just gone up another level. Especially when I'm speaking to Shuffle, and Shuffle's openly telling me that his rounds are better than the stuff he had for Shotty. Like, that then gives it a different perspective. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a good one. And then you've got the GOAT of comedy in his hometown, where he's loved, where you've got celebrities and superstars that absolutely love this man. You've got Tony Bell, who openly talking about how O'Shea's his favourite battler, because they grew up, I think they lived next to each other, or they went to the same school, or whatever it was. You've got local celebrities. You've got so many different people know O'Shea, and to give him a legend in Soul Khan, who's having a resurgence, and he absolutely killed it against QP on GTX, and to give him that, but with that comes many potential cancelable moments for O'Shea, because you just look at Soul Khan and you think O'Shea is going to go absolutely crazy on certain things, And I know that for a fact because I know what kind of man Osh is. And I know that he won't pull punches.
Sorry, I've never heard that phrase before. Many cancelable moments. That's amazing. Oh no. He's not wrong, is he?
Honestly, like,
he's not wrong.
See, honestly, from the moment we've had this battle, but in my head, I've just got, and I'll tell you when we go off air, just this idea of a line which I can just imagine Osh saying, and it's just wild.
So I can just imagine you like in bed at night, just like in a cold sweat, where you're like, no, O'Shea. Like already half fulfilling the press release afterwards to say we as PremierBattles don't condone this of any sort, but at the same time, that's fucking hysterical to think about, man. That's so fucking funny.
So it's with the card, it's just it's a perfect card and it's come together so well. I wouldn't like the thing what I loved about it most was me and Briggz were in communication every single day, where I'd be like, right, okay, I'm busy, like I've got this idea. He's like, right, okay, let me see what I can do. Then he'll go away and speak to a few people. It's like, right, okay, this potentially might happen. Then I'll go and speak to someone. It's like, right, okay, can we get this done? And it was a proper collaborative effort. And this is me being honest, is the Soul Khan thing came out of nowhere. Because once again, Soul Khan's randomly in the UK around this time, and Briggz was like, he just messaged me one night, the flyer, and I was like, what? And he went, oh yeah. He was like, I'm potentially going to get it done. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, Soul Khan's in the UK. He was like, you said you wanted Undisclosed 10 to be big. He was like, let's see if we can get this headline sorted. So then obviously I'm then speaking to Osh, and then out of nowhere, Briggz is like, yeah, I've just locked it. Like, this is what people don't understand about him. Like, the guy is an absolute workhorse, and he doesn't stop. So that headline is 1000% him, and it's the perfect card for it.
Shit, man. I mean, fucking, if this interview is supposed to be about, hang on, I've got a slight aside editorial. It's supposed to be about you, not this Briggsy fella. This Briggsy fella, I spoke to him already. I've given him his flowers. But now, man, that's insane, man. Well, I could go on and on and on about all of the stuff I've observed, but I guess the last big thing I want to ask, given your career and given everything you do now, given your unique experiences inside of battling, outside of it in production, in promotion, in booking, in talent management, in managing expectations, dealing with the fans, trying to put things together, deal with fires, all the rest of that sort of stuff. What's battle rap to you now? When you think about it, how do you epitomize it? How do you typify it? What does it mean to you as that fan when you were younger, to the man that's now had a tangible impact on the industry and the scene as a whole? What is it to you?
I was going to say something funny then, but it wouldn't really come across like, and this is just me about to be genuine. It's battle rap to me is, at this moment, it's our lives. And what I mean by that is, what people don't realise is the work that goes in behind the scenes. And as much as I know he gets all these flowers in, obviously this is meant to be about me, but just the environment that Dave created is, look, reality is, every bit of money that comes into Prem goes back in, or comes out of Prem goes back into it, because we want to make this a success. We want this to be, we don't just want this to be a flash in the pan. We want to create history. We want to be remembered in years gone by as the ones that rejuvenated the scene and regalvanized it. So the amount of times where I manage a team on a Saturday, so that's a full-time job in terms of training, players, are you available? Then you've got a match day Saturday. I've got my own actual 9 to 5, but all we ever do is we're on meetings, we're on Zoom meetings, we're talking about Prem. Where can we take it in this direction? Right, okay, what are we going to do for this card? Can we make sure this card's sorted? Right, okay, what are we going to do about travel? How are we going to sort this out? How are we going to sort this battle? What's this? And it is a full-time job without the pay, but I don't care because I love it. And it's what we do, and what fans don't realise is everything that we could take out of Prem, we don't, it goes back into it. because we want this to be a success. We want this to be huge. We want this to... Yes, people look at us like the premium brand in the UK when it comes to UK battle rap. We love that. But that's stage one. Stage two is, right, okay, now can we get it more global? Then stage three is, how can we then start to compete? Then stage four is, what kind of impact can we have on UK battle rap in terms of history? In 50 years' time, how is Prem going to be remembered? What kind of opportunities did we give to battlers? So, for example, you see battlers on KFC and doing stuff at KFC. You see battlers who are battling on Rap Game, and 3 times we've been on Rap Game now. We're to the point where when we were there last time, like, they're like, oh, it's you guys again. Like, they love us because they know us that well. Like, we want to give certain battlers opportunities which they never would have been given before. So we want to be remembered for breaking down barriers, breaking down walls, creating legacies, creating history, and that's what we want.
Which is fucking incredible, and I think you're well on your way. I mean, again, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic when I say that as a fan of battle rap, and again, like I'll openly admit, a Laps fan, to discover Premier Battles and to see what you guys were doing, and then to see what you've done since, and then to see it grow and naturally progress, and I know you say you make your mistakes, but honestly, man, it's one of those things, like it's the AEW thing for me, is that you guys have just come into this and, right, how do we set this up so we more often than not do this right? How do we set this up so that we know we're doing right by as many people as we can possibly do it, but ultimately we're remembering why we're doing it in the first place, and we have a goal and we have an identity, let's execute. I can't agree with you more in the sense of, not only do I think that that's what you're going to do, ultimately I think that persistence, that passion, and again that know-how from minds like yours, like Shotty's, like Briggsy's, and the talent that come through, it's only inevitable, man. Which, one last quick question, are you settled on the Liverpool thing? I mean, Arsenal are a really good team right now, and you know we're a big fan base. You know, you're always welcome. You know, we don't have the best fan TV stations, I will grant you, but like we won our first game. I don't think Liverpool did. I hear they're having some problems in the transfer market, so can I convince you here and now to the world that, you know, come on, you Gooners, do you want to join me in exclaiming it?
I mean, that would be like going from...
Oh, God, here we go. Go on, then.
Ferrari to like a Ford Punto. Now, the reason why I say that is because Liverpool, historically, have the most trophies.
Oh, here it comes. He's bringing up trophies and all European competitions and all dominance of eras and all this bollocks. Listen, man. Okay, what we all know that the real success in football comes from who's got the nicest designed kit, and it's an unassailable fact. It's just facts.
I agree. And when you look at Liverpool's home kit this season, I don't think there's hardly anything that can close.
Oh god, see, this, kids, is why you don't pick on battle rappers. They're better at this than you. It doesn't matter. I prepped that. He didn't know it was coming, and he's just unflappable. Okay, real last question then, since I tried to convince. Listen, Tony D, Spurs fan, Bizzo Liverpool fan. I'm forgetting. Oh, Quill was already an Arsenal fan.
Do you know who else is a Liverpool fan?
Who's a Liverpool fan?
Soul.
So, get the fuck out of here. He's a Liverpool fan. Soul, you bastard. You never fucking mentioned that. I thought we were friends. Unfucking believable. He's a Liverpool fan.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Soul. Oh, I still have to edit your interview. Oh, I think Bloodstro just dropped you in it there. Oh dear. Anyways, real last question. Fuck. Real last question. Future aspirations. Personally, like, what do you see yourself doing ideally? And if all things, you know, best laid plans and what have you, I grant you, but like, what do you want to be doing in 5 years? What do you want to be doing in 10 years in terms of your own personal aspirations with Premier Battles? Outside of that, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years from him? Because like I said, man, you said it yourself, 10 years prior, you didn't see yourself in this position. So, fuck, man, sky's the limit. So, what do you see yourself in 10 years, man?
Look, I think we've made it abundantly clear that we're aggressive when it comes to chasing success, especially in Prem. Like we're ambitious. We don't shy away from the fact that we've got certain goals and certain things that we want. Like we want to turn this into a full-time career. We want to have our own offices. We want to have our own venue where we can host events. There's loads of different things that we want, right? But I want legacy in this. I want Prem to be remembered as and looked at in a way where we break the barriers down, right? And one thing which not so much disappoint me, but when you look at Canada, you look at America, you look at Australia, you look at the celebrities that are surrounding the battle rap scene there, they embrace it. They talk about it, they go to events, they love it. You've got Kevin Durant there, you've got Drake there, you've got NFL players, you've got, even in Spain, right? People don't realise this, but this is how much we watch battle rap, right? In Spain, they've got a battle rap league, and the footballers from Spain will go to the battle rap league. Some of the battles are in stadiums, actual football stadiums. So you can imagine the amount of fans that they're getting to the events. We want to break barriers down. Like one thing which it's great when you've got the likes of guests coming to events, but we want not just him. We want him and Anne-Marie. We want 10, 15 of him. Like, we want to make a real ripple in UK hip hop. Because as you've already alluded to, right, battle rap can be quite niche. Do I want it to become commercialised where it changes everything? No. But do I think that there's certain battlers, and I think that UK battle rap deserves a platform and it needs a proper conversation now. And I think that the Shotty to Work card is definitely a step in the right direction. I think Harry Baker being on the Undisclosed card and everything that he's involved with in a minute definitely has and will help the conversation. But I want UK battle rap in the next 5 years to be a household thing. Not just a niche thing. I want it to become a household thing. I want footballers openly tweeting and talking about it. I want celebrities openly tweeting and talking about it, sharing clips, rappers, just everything. That's what I want.
I'm sorry to have to put you on the spot, because I asked Briggsy this question, and I don't have a good answer. I had some just, elevator straight, and I know I just said final question. Fuck you for tuning in and then ignoring me. But how do you go about that? How do you, in your mind, go about addressing whatever stigma that people have towards the genre, or whatever inherent biases or perceptions that preclude it from getting the recognition? Because again, I'll bring it back. If you like comedy, fuck, battle rap's got you covered, because you will hear not the same joke twice, because it's inherently frowned upon within the genre. You don't tell the same joke more than once, and if you do, you better find a new fucking way of saying it. And secondly, if you want drama, if you want intrigue, if you want that in-depth, handcrafted, personalized event feel where you're going to go to this, and if you're there once, no one's ever going to be there again, and no one can ever experience what it was like there that one time. Battle rap's got it in spades, man. But there is this slight stigma, this slight niche, this slight eye roll of, oh, it's like 8 Mile. And I'm like, why do you hold that? I don't understand it personally. So I guess, but that's the challenge in front of you guys, is when other countries and other cultures recognize why it's great and why it works and why it's entertaining, what hurdles are there in your mind that you guys have got to break down or that you've got to address?
It's a great question. It's something we should talk about often and talk about a lot, but we've started to do that already. So the fact that we've been on Rap Game 3 out of 4 years, right? The platform and what that does for us will obviously help. Then you've got engagement, you've got Anne-Marie coming to events, you've got people of that ilk who are battle rap fans, and then it's word of mouth. And the big thing for me, right, is putting ourselves in a position where a certain demographic wouldn't fully understand battle rap, putting ourselves in a position where we can talk about it. So like, as I've already talked about, obviously before it went on, was me and Biz are going on Redmen TV, right? Which is a Liverpool fan channel. They've got 600,000 subscribers, predominantly football related. We're on their platform, plug in Prem. Bizzo's turned up and we're on the podcast. He's got his title belt. They're talking about it. Guess who's coming to the Liverpool event? The Redmen guys. So it's situations like that where we need to start putting ourselves in these kind of environments and talking to different people who, like Chris Pajak at Redmen, and dear friend, love him to death. He's a battle rap fan, but he's never been to an event. So it was the perfect storm to, right, okay, I'll come on Redmen. Dream for me, because lifelong Liverpool fan, and what they've done, they give me hours and hours and hours of entertainment. So for me to go on that platform was a big thing for both me and Biz, and I was glad that I managed to get it organised and get it sorted, and I was glad that I could bring Biz along with me, because what it did for us was huge, and what it did for Prem as well is it brought eyes on Prem which never would have historically been there. Then you've got that kind of thing, right? Is we just have to put ourselves in these different scenarios and these different things. And then it's like you've got people like Adam Rowe, who is an unbelievable comedian. Fucking hilarious. Like, one of the funniest people I've seen live. He's a huge fan. He comes to events, and then it's, before you know it, they start to talk in their circle. And then anything can happen. Now, I've said this all the time, right? Imagine Redmen. It's a big game against United, and you want to do something for the channel, and you want to organise a battle. Who do you think they're then going to come to? Obviously, it's going to be Prem, and it's putting ourselves in these kind of situations which will benefit everyone, where it gives different eyes on the platform, which then automatically brings them back to us. These are the kind of things which Briggz has always been goated at, and something which he's very strategic with. So we're not, it looks like it's a million miles away, it's not. And if there's anyone that's going to do it, it's 100% Briggz.
Yeah, you raise a very good point there, because I mean, look, as much as we live in an age where things are driven by numbers to a certain extent, those numbers start at grassroots, and a lot of the stuff is, can you get people to care? Can you get people to be thinking about it and talking about it and really singing its praises, rather than just sharing it, rather than just liking it? Like, you gotta, as much as people want to talk about hundreds of millions of dollars, I think it was Steve Jobs. They posted one of his interviews recently, or one of his TED Talks, or whatever it was, and he was saying something like, Apple spends hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising a year, but none of you would ever know it. But Nike, they never talk about themselves, and how many of you are wearing their shoes right now? Exactly, because one of your mates said, how cool are these fucking shoes? And you're right, man, like, getting that word of mouth in just the right places and getting it just at the right opportune moment is the key. And like I say, man, that when you said it, man, it clicked. That makes all the sense in the world, man. And then, shit, it's just good to know that the state of the genre is in good hands. But one of the things that I've got to just say before we sign off with the socials and things like that is, having researched you in anticipation. I mean, look, I've followed you for years, man, and I've been a fan. But having researched you for this interview, one of the things I just wanted to applaud you for is that persistence, because I really do think that the thing that I take away from your career so far is that you've always done it. You've attempted to approach it the right way. Even if you went into situations underprepared or with a certain, like you say, I'm going to prove them wrong attitude, which ultimately might have been your undoing at certain moments. The fact is that you've still carried yourself in a way that you always bring it back to this idea of doing it right, doing it properly ultimately is just really, really commendable. And I think that's going to speak volumes in years to come with the way that Premier Battles is run and the people you ultimately mentor, man. I think that's just going to mean the world to them. So, number one, fucking just all the applause in the world. I won't clap too loud because I'm currently in your ears. But point is that just fucking congratulations on everything you've done up until this point. So where can people find you, man? Where can people, on the socials, what do you want them to be aware of coming up for you personally and for Premier Battles? Like, let the people know, man.
So yeah, so obviously first and foremost, Premier Battles on all social media. So obviously make sure you go follow that. Obviously make sure you follow obviously Briggz, Shotty, drove fears all the team. Myself, obviously, it's Mr. Itstro on Instagram, on Twitter. Then for me personally, it's the Aleisha Whamond Foundation, which is a cause which is dear to my heart. Something which I never would have anticipated that I would ever have to do, but something which I'm driven and I'm motivated for, to make sure that I give people a voice when they feel like they can't have one, and give them a platform where they can talk about their experiences. And I raise money for mental health charities across the UK, through stuff that I know in terms of charity football games and stuff like that. So expect this time next year to be the Aleisha Whamond Foundation game 2.0, which will be the second version of it, which I'm looking to raise money for. So you will see a lot of people in that which you will recognise, which is something that I'm going to start working on over the next couple of months. So yeah, the Aleisha Whamond Foundation, and then, like I said, just Prem, man. And then obviously go follow my actual team that I manage, which is Urmston Town Vale. Incredible side. Now, one thing which you will notice is all the kits are sponsored by the Aleisha Whamond Foundation. So they've all got the logo on there. You will see teams across the Northwest in grassroots that are wearing the Aleisha Whamond Foundation as sponsors of their kits. So this thing, man, like, I just want to get that foundation out as many places as possible. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And then obviously make sure you go follow the man that is interviewing me, because this has been a great interview and I've enjoyed it. So make sure you go follow the platform, man.
So I must have jumped in halfway through. Sure as fuck wasn't talking about me. But as far as just a quick side note, I'm going to be including the link to the foundation in the description below. I've personally observed it. Man, go support the man. Okay, it's in a world of so-called worthy causes, this is one that I actually believe in. So listen, I appreciate your time, and fuck, man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're fucking killing it. So just. Again, just consider the Arsenal thing. Just consider it. That's the only thing I would give you. Just minor notes. But otherwise, thanks, man. That was fucking insane.